Following U.S. seizures of Venezuelan oil shipments, Venezuela's National Assembly unanimously approved a new bill imposing prison sentences of up to 20 years for anyone accused of promoting or financing piracy, blockades, or related international crimes. The vote comes amid a series of U.S. actions against Venezuela's oil trade. This as U.S. is increasing pressure on Venezuela by seizing oil tankers to enforce a naval blockade and adding more troops and special operations aircraft in the Caribbean. So far this month, the U.S. Coast Guard has intercepted 2 tankers in the Caribbean Sea, both fully loaded with Venezuelan crude. The Coast Guard is also pursuing a 3rd empty vessel that was approaching the OPEC countries' shores. Venezuela's envoy to the United Nations says Washington is subjecting Caracas to the greatest extortion in its history after the U.S. announced a blockade of sanctioned oil vessels sailing to and from the country.
Let it be clear once and for all that there is no war in the Caribbean, there is no international armed conflict, nor is there a non-international armed conflict. It is therefore absurd for the United States government to attempt to justify its actions by applying the rules of the law of war.
Russia and China have criticized the U.S. tactics at the United Nations, calling it cowboy behavior and intimidation. Russia's ambassador to the United Nations, Vasily Nebenzia, says that the acts by the U.S. side run counter to all key norms of international law. According to reports, Russia has started evacuating the families of its diplomats in Venezuela as fears of U.S. military action grows. The Chinese representative said that U.S. actions and rhetoric have led to continued tensions in the region and urged Washington to avoid further escalation. Meanwhile, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro says that his country is receiving overwhelming support from the United Nations Security Council following the emergency meeting. In response to the criticism, U.S. Ambassador Mike Waltz maintained the country's stance on the matter and said the United States would do everything in its power to protect its borders and the American people.
President Trump has been very clear that he is going to use the full power of the United States of America, the full might of the United States to take on and eradicate these drug cartels which have operated with impunity in our hemisphere for far too long, and everyone knows it.
The U.S. has reportedly sent additional special operations aircraft to the Caribbean. The Wall Street Journal, citing a U.S. official, reported that at least 10 CV-22 Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft, which are used by Special Operations Forces, flew into the region Monday night from Cannon Air Force Base in the state of New Mexico.